Streaming is hard when your internet hates you. Now, if I can get zombie in here without the.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good Lord have mercy. That was painful. It was going so well until I decided, hey, I'm going to add somebody. That's like, nope.
That's what I do. I sow chaos.
Yes.
I apologize, everybody. I have an extremely hungry cat.
What time? Oh, yeah, she still has like 45 minutes to eat, so she's good for a little bit.
But she will complain about it the entire time.
Oh, yeah, and we will definitely hear about it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, today, we are here to talk about one of my favorite trilogies. I don't know about you, Christine. What do you think?
It is definitely one of my favorites. I grew up reading the books, seeing the movies, obviously.
Same. I saw the movies first, and then I read the books because I was a little young when the movies came out to read books that advanced.
I was a preteen. Yay!
I was a little baby. I think I was. First one came out in 2001.
One. Yep.
Yeah. So I would have been 7.
Yeah, you were a wee little bairn.
Mm-hmm. I was a little Bjorning.
Yes.
So we watched.
Yes.
So the past couple of days, I have strapped Christine to a chair and forced her to watch the extended editions of the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies.
I wouldn't say forced. I mean the straps weren't too tight on the chair.
At least I didn't use that brutalist architecture thing I sent you.
Yeah, that I would have been a little upset about that. Just a wee bit upset, you know?
Yeah. Right. Where do we start?
So, in the first stage, no. I mean, if we want to go back that far, good Lord, we will be here for a few days.
And yes, Zombie is still afflicted with the zombie virus.
Yeah, she's still no feel good. Well, I'm hoping not as bad as before.
This one was nasty, man.
Yeah, you sound pretty gunky.
No, this one was gnarly. I've never had a cold that bad. Bride of Frankenstein has it now too.
And Father Frankenstein keeps thinking that he has the COVID, and it's like, no, sir, you're fine.
Yeah, Bride of Frankenstein took a test. I took a test. Both of them came out completely negative. It's just a really gnarly cold, guys. And I mean gnarly. Like I've never had a cold knock me down this many pegs. It's intense, man. But take it away, Christine. This is your channel. Where shall we begin? What do you think? How are you doing?
If I can get things to work, because I wanted to try to get the epic music to play in the background, but oh my goodness, my internet has other ideas. I'm pretty sure my internet's being attacked by Balrog.
It's being attacked by Oh, that studio that made the movies. They know.
Are you still there? Or did I lose you?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Oh, did I lose her?
Ah. You might want to
Hold on, let me
restart
try
the
this. I do
freaking.
want a little bit of music playing in the background from the trilogy, but son of a biscuit. A stop screen.
All right.
It should be fine now. We should be good. I hope.
Okay. Ugh.
Oh no! Oh no! There she is, the third host of the channel.
Uh-oh. Ugh.
So yes, I remember watching. All right, I can hear you just fine. Are you able to hear me fine?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. All right, golly.
No, you good.
Okay,
You good.
I remember watching. I remember watching the first film, The Fellowship of the Ring, when I was about 11, 12 years old, because my dad had it on DVD. Funny
Weird
enough,
thing
the
for
DVDs I
him
have
to
were
have, I
original.
might add. Weird thing for that guy to have.
Yeah, not exactly his type of thing. Yeah. But I remember watching it, and I was just like, "Whoa!" So this is what it all looks like like in person, like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
and
For
a lot of
real.
the theming didn't sink in until I was like,
Yeah. For me, I watched Fellowship of the Ring for the first time right after my great grandpa died.
yeah,
And it was a very difficult time for me because my great grandpa was really one of the few people that I genuinely felt close to in my dad's family. And uh to help process my grief, I sort of like subconsciously adopted Gandalf as my new great grandpa. And then he fell into a sightless pit.
hooray for trauma! No.
And I was absolutely just shattered. Oh my goodness, it was almost as bad as when Sirius Black died in Harry Potter. Like that, my parents flat out had to have me leave the theater for that one.
Which we will cover in another stream.
Yeah, we will cover, guys. We will cover, the other fantasy genre,
right?
the other fantasy series. But right now, we're focusing on Lord of the Rings. So that was when I first saw the Fellowship of the Ring. Was after my great grandpa died, and then Gandalf died, and then he came back in Two Towers, and I was happy as a clam. I was like so happy.
Right, because first you're thinking, oh no, it's Saruman, because with the audio, it makes you think that, oh, that's Christopher Lee's voice. Then it kind of shifts. Mm-hmm. And it shifts a little bit, slowly starts shifting to Sir Ian McKellen. You're like, oh, I know who this is. He's back, y'all.
For me, I didn't know who he was until I saw his face. I thought it was Saruman, but I was like, why isn't Saruman attacking? He should be attacking them.
Right. Why is he being civil right now?
Why is he being cordial? Why is he having discourse with them?
Right.
And then I saw that it was Gandalf, and I just completely lost it. I was so happy. Then Legolas is like, forgive me, I mistook you for Saruman. I was like, I don't blame you, man.
Right. I think that's everyone's first thought was, oh, it's Saruman.
Yeah. Poor Treebeard losing the Entwives.
Yeah, that was hysterical. He's just like, I have not seen one for so long. I've forgotten what they look like. Have you seen any? Oh, the poor guy.
Right.
All the females are gone. Well, not so much gone.
Pippin is just like, oh, I'm sorry. How did they die? And he's like, no, we lost them, and now we cannot find them.
Yep. Meanwhile, there probably is one like right in front of his face, and he just doesn't realize it.
Well, so spoiler alert, everybody. But
oh yeah, there's gonna be major spoilers 20 years later. But yes,
no, Tolkien actually weighed in on the Entwives, and he does think that they are all gone.
Aww.
But the reason that Treebeard asked the hobbits if they've seen Entwives is because apparently the Entwives were very regimented and very big into agriculture, that sort of thing, teaching the other races how to farm. And so Treebeard thought that they would really love the Shire. And so and there have been stories, at least in Buckland, I think, where there were stories of trees moving. So
that would explain why Mary already kind of knew the lore behind the Ents.
Mary,
because he mentioned
Mary and Pippin, they are not cut from the same cloth as the hobbits and Hobbiton. They come from, was it Buckland?
Yeah, yes, I hear him saying.
Mary comes from Buckland. Pippin is a Took, and I forget where they are, but I don't think it's Buckland. Either way, they're not cut from the same cloth as the other hobbits and Hobbiton. They are much more outdoorsy, a lot more world-wise. And yeah, the forest that borders their territories is very much like Fangorn. In fact, it actually might be more dangerous than Fangorn is. And hi. And in the books, they actually go through Fangorn, or not Fangorn, that forest on the borders of I think Buckland.
Mm-hmm.
Have a hard time remembering names. And that's where they met a character that
the borders of yes.
A lot of people wish were in the movies. Tom Bombadil. And actually,
oh yeah, that's right.
The sort of poem that Treebeard recants to that tree when it swallows up Merry and Pippin is actually borrowed from Tom Bombadil singing the same poem to Old Man Willow, who is at the center of that forest, in a very malicious spirit, if I recall. But yeah, so it does make total sense that Mary would know about the Ents and about I forget what there are like several classes of what I'm just going to call tree spirits in the Lord of the Rings. There's the Ents, which are the least tree-like, though they do eventually become trees. There are I forget what they are called. But they're trees that are still able to move, but they aren't Ents. And then there's just trees.
And there's just, the basic run-of-the-mill tree.
Yes. Yeah. That's why Mary knows him. and Pippin doesn't exactly come from that area. He comes from pretty close though. Him and Mary are cousins. Which, by the way, Christine and Zombie figured out that we're Mary and Pippin.
Oh yeah, just kind of rewatching the way they act together. It's like, why does that seem so familiar?
It's working. I know it's working. Run.
You need some sort of intelligence on this mission quest thing. Well, that rules you out, Pip.
Yep.
So where are we going?
Like, I'm not as ditzy as Pippin is, but I can be pretty close sometimes.
We both have our blonde moments.
Uh-huh. Speaking of ditzy, I did talk to Emo earlier.
Oh, goodness.
Well, no, I mean, I was talking to him because you guys want to talk about Lord of the Rings. You guys want to talk about Lord of the Rings food. I have when I think about it, a very Lord of the Ring-ish feast for Halloween. It is literally lamb hearts with purple mashed potatoes and wild rice. And the hearts are stuffed with mushrooms.
See, it's very Lord of the Rings, but also very Game of Thrones.
Well, Lord of the Rings came first. And actually, yes. George R.R. Martin, this is a hot take, but I doubt his creativity. Because, I mean, first of all, just look at the names of all his characters. And then second of all, look at the names of all the continents. Essos, Westeros, Sothos. And third of all, his favorite chapter in all of Lord of the Rings is the Scouring of the Shire. And I was like, your most favorite chapter of Lord of the Rings was the most unnecessary chapter in Lord of the Rings. Did I get that right?
Oh no, Miss Thang. She wants to give her own commentary.
You have your own commentary? You wanna talk about Lord of the
Rings? No, she doesn't want to. She's probably a Game of Thrones fan. That's why she's quiet now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyway, we watched. So I have Blu-ray extended editions of all three movies. Somebody has opted not to watch the last one just yet.
Yeah, my schedule is completely jacked up for the next few days. Actually, the next week.
No way. Oh, is that Nebraska? All right. So again, everybody,
because he lives in the middle of the desert.
Let me remind you guys that I am autistic. Confirmed. I am officially diagnosed with it. And so sometimes I see stuff that other stuff besides Lord of the Rings that relates to another special interest. And I completely lose whatever I'm doing. Huh?
All right, so someone popped into chat who, funny enough, right as you said that, she is also autistic. Her name's Razorblade. She's in chat, so say hi.
Hello, autistic.
Yeah, she's an autistic woman who lives in England. Mm-hmm.
I am an autistic woman who does not live in England.
Right, Razor.
I know that narrows things down quite a bit.
Don't mind us, Razor. We're just talking randomly. If I could talk randomly about.
Oh, it is Nebraska. For a little bit, I thought that was New England. I thought that was New England, and I was gonna be shook because I saw a tornado going on in what I swore was New England, but no, it's Nebraska.
If no one's caught the hint, Zombie grew up in the Midwest. We're not gonna say where in the Midwest, but literally Tornado Alley.
I grew up in the Midwest of somewhere.
Yes.
Anyway, back on track. We are talking about Lord of the Rings, not tornadoes. But somebody, excuse me, decided not to watch the extended edition of Return of the King. She did not pass the test.
Hey. That's coming up soon. Like I said, my week coming up is jacked up. I have work. I'm gonna be in Baltimore next weekend. Like, oh, excuse me. Like my week is already jacked up.
Christine,
your silence is telling. It's just like that is no excuse.
Christine can tell you guys that I am the undisputed champion of marathoning the extended editions of Lord of the Rings. I have done it multiple times. And I've outlasted everybody.
Meanwhile, there's me like the other night where I just passed out.
Yeah, also somebody fell asleep
like 2 hours in. I woke up and it's dark and I'm like, what the heck? Like, what in the world happened? I see it, there's a bunch of missed calls and everything. I'm like, what?
It's okay. Emo does that too. Emo does that.
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings is
we used to video chat, and if he went, or we would phone call, and if he went mysteriously silent, unlike somebody I know, I was like, he probably fell asleep.
Yep.
Oh, Joey, you farted. What the? Cat farts are the worst.
Reza, if you haven't picked up, Joey is the cat, but also referred to as Miss Thang.
Yeah.
Oh God, cat farts.
Cat farts are worse than dog farts. They just have a smaller area of effect.
Yeah. But yes, Reza, Lord of the Rings is lengthy though. Like, holy crap.
Oh yeah. It is lengthy, but if you're me, you have no problem.
It's like, even though you have me who loves movies, it's just like, oh, it's too much.
All right, I'm gonna send this link to Bride of Frankenstein or the link to the YouTube stream to Bride of Frankenstein to get up your viewership.
Oh, nice.
But again, we have to use what Christine and I call our inside voices.
Mainly because I'm not age restricting this
anyway. Trust us, we are generally not this clean in our language.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Lord of the Rings, which is nothing but wholesome content, and so only wholesome language allowed.
Mm-hmm. That, and I don't want to age restrict it. It's like, unless I absolutely have to. Oh no, you're good, Reza.
You're good. No, don't worry about it.
Reza, unfortunately, has been having a lot of pain issues, which sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does.
So,
that chronic pain knife. Anyway, back on topic. So let's walk everybody through some 20-year-old movies. Or 22 actually. Nope.
I mean, I tried to do that yesterday with a 9-year-old film. Yeah, it's 20.
Oh, yeah, it's 20. So the Lord of the Rings movies, just the movies themselves, are considered some of the greatest movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Jackson did an amazing job. He doesn't always do an amazing job, but when he does an amazing job, he does an amazing job. And there are pieces left out of the movies that I know a lot of Tolkien purists take issue with. I actually, as somebody who primarily, for a lot of her life, took a lot of stories in visually through movies, cartoons, comics, I had a better understanding of why those choices were made. And Christine, I know you actually have some background in filmmaking.
A little bit, yeah.
You probably understand like the process that goes into making a movie and why some things might need to be trimmed, even important things like Tom Bombadil.
Right.
So
it's essentially for the sake of keeping the audience's attention, because what we might consider something crucial, the basic run-of-the-mill viewer or moviegoer is gonna be like, "Why is this in here? Well, give me action, yeah."
Yeah. Viewerships have a short attention span, and unless you're a hardcore fan, and I mean hardcore, like more hardcore than I am, that's really, and there's also some things, like a good example, I think the best example of this actually is, so spoilers for 20-year-old movie, in Return of the King, Elrond is the one who gives Aragorn Underil, when in the books it was actually the rest of the Dunedain who came and gave him Underil, and a lot of people took issue with that. I understood that is a lot of resources to commit, to have like 20 new characters that have no real previous exposition, and how it's much easier and more practical to just have Elrond give it to Aragorn. They had to play up the stakes for Arwen, but Arwen was really in the books inconsequential. She was more a trophy. I actually kind of appreciate the bigger role that she had in the movies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also more than likely also I don't want to say it was a financial issue, but also like Return of the King's a great example. There's a lot of money going into CG, a lot of money, and so
that's something else we need to talk about. Mm-hmm. Fellowship of the Ring holds up 20 years later.
Oh yeah, like a lot of the CG and the special effects still looks good to this day for something that's 20 years old.
But you know what I mean, at the time, I kind of appreciate the necessity of the fact that, hi Kitty,
Jojo,
the necessity of the fact that CGI technology wasn't that advanced at the time, so they really had to think about what they were doing. And they didn't fully rely on CG. Like in Thor Ragnarok, people were talking about how the helmets and the armor was CGI now. All of the costume design and everything in Lord of the Rings, that's real. That is a very good balance of practicality and CGI.
That's a thing that I appreciate with certain filmmakers, Peter Jackson being one of them. Also, James Gunn is another one. They have a good mixture between practical and CG, in that it's almost completely flawless. There's not too much of one, not too much of the other. Because if you have too much CG, one, that's a lot of money, and two, it's not going to look as good, because then you're going to start noticing, oh, this looks real fake.
Yeah.
But if you balance it in correctly, it looks almost flawless, like seamless.
Yeah, it does. And like Fellowship of the Ring holds up 20 years later. And they made a lot of the pioneering technology for CGI. And it's crazy because the feats that they wanted to achieve were so advanced and so, big that they had to develop completely new technology.
I would argue that it was the very first time they used motion capture, with Andy Serkis, who played Gollum.
No, it was. It genuinely was the first time they ever used motion capture. Now look where that's got us.
Mm-hmm.
Andy
Serkis has his own literal film studio for mocap.
He does, and a lot of video games use motion capture. Resident Evil's a really good example, and a lot of movies too. If we are to talk about an improvement, I will say I was really impressed in the improvement in Gollum's design.
Oh yeah, because you could tell over the course of the films, it got better and better. And even with the Hobbit trilogy, when he was in the first Hobbit film, it looked amazing. Well, that was like 10 plus years later. Still.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's just like, if I was to actually like pluck something out and say this could use some work, it would be Gollum. But they brought the technology they had then, advanced it, and now we see him in the Hobbit movie, and he looks like a genuine, living, breathing creature.
Right. It's uncanny, but it's good, but it's like, holy crap.
No, I was like really enjoying it because I'm into that kind of thing. I'm into the nitty-gritty of design concepts, how art is brought to life, as it were.
Yes.
That is my, area of interest. And so I thought that was really great. He was still really good in Lord of the Rings, though. It was the first time motion capture had ever been used, really. And every single time you go back to him, it can be a little disorienting, especially given the day. But in my opinion, I don't know about you, he still brings it. You forget that that's a CGI character, even if he looks CGI, because the life brought to him is incredible.
I mean, the man was essentially in flesh-colored spandex running around on set, acting out the scenes as they were. Like, the man was on all fours. Like, he did not pull back his punches, so to speak. He went all in.
Yeah. It's probably one of the greatest cinematic performances of all time. That is something else that needs to be talked about with these movies. The acting. Is incredible. Everybody, on all fronts.
Like another thing that I like to point out with the Andy Serkis with Gollum is that even though when you see him switch from Gollum to Smeagol, you could tell obviously the pinning of the pupils in his eyes.
He's like
you could also feel the information too. It's like, okay, we're going from like happy-go-lucky Smeagol to it's just like, geez. Like you could feel that transformation, and I haven't seen anything like that really since Moon Knight. And you know why? We'll probably end up doing a thing on that in the future.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it is incredible. Another act. I mean, it almost doesn't need to be said, but Viggo Mortensen, amazing job. He was different. Again, a lot of Tolkien purists take issue with the fact that he was different than the Aragorn in the books, but so was Boromir. And actually, Boromir was more likable in the movie than he was in the books.
Right. From what I remember, Boromir was a jerk in the books, like a bad jerk.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was his father's son, literally.
They made him much more approachable in the movie. And as for Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen's portrayal is like, it's everything you would want a cinematic portrayal of Aragorn to be. They had to make him younger looking because, well, Viggo Mortensen was younger than like he. In the books, I think they said he looked like 50 or something.
Right, and Viggo, I believe at the time was like maybe mid-30s.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So he was still compared to book Aragorn, he was baby-faced.
Oh yeah. But I feel like he executed a cinematic portrayal of Aragorn to a T. He really had the emotion and conviction. I mean, other than the breaking his toe.
Oh, that was epic bad, and also it's like, oh my god. All right, so for anyone who doesn't know that backstory, if you remember in the Twin Towers when the trio, Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn, approached the burning corpses of Uruk-hai and orcs, after being told by Eomer that the pack of orcs / Uruk-hai that
everybody was slaughtered.
Yeah, essentially everybody was killed. They piled the corpses and burned them, and so they're looking through the corpses and whatnot. And I think it was Gimli who found one of the little belts that they it
was Gimli.
Yeah. And the moment where Aragorn kicks one of the helmets and screams, Viggo broke his toe, and that was a genuine scream of pain.
And I just like, I remember
Peter that's Jackson. Method acting at its best, or what?
I remember Peter Jackson talking about that, and when that, like, they tried over and over and over again to try to get a good take of that moment, and then Viggo Mortensen breaks his toe and just channels it into acting. And Peter Jackson, you know, when he yelled cut, he was like, wow, that was such an emotional, like, visceral pain and grief. And then Viggo was like, I broke my toe.
It's like, my foot hurts now.
Viggo actually obtained like several like battle scars. He broke his tooth too, if I recall.
Right, like he was definitely battle worn by that trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he broke a tooth, I think. He broke his toe. But I mean, he was still amazing performance. He went all in. One of the moments, I mean, at least in the movies that we have rewatched so far, one of the moments that I felt like really brought out his acting was when he bid farewell to Boromir as Boromir was dying. Mm-hmm. Which, poor scene being.
And poor man, every single one of his characters dies.
Right.
Poor Sean.
Ooh, Christine, you got a like.
Oh, I did?
Yes, you did.
Hey. Whoever liked the stream, thank you.
Random citizen, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was one of the, and so many amazing acting chops in this movie. Some of them are household. I mean, Sir Ian McKellen already was a household.
Here I had him for a couple of decades. Same with Sir Christopher Lee.
Yes. Oh my God. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah, fun fact: Sir Christopher Lee is the only one who actually knew J.R.R. Tolkien while he was alive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He met him way back in the day when obviously Lee was much younger.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he actually did meet J.R.R. Tolkien at one point in his life, which is pretty wild, isn't it?
It is pretty wild. And I remember Christopher Lee, you know what? I still need to get that audiobook. Oh, I am so mad about that. So for those who don't know, Christopher Lee, Saruman, did a audiobook reading of The Children of Húrin, which is a part of Tolkien's book, The Silmarillion, which is sort of a history of the world of Lord of the Rings. And they had, like, it was literally, it wasn't just an audiobook, man. It was literally the video of him reading the book. And I saved it, and it got taken down. I was so mad.
Oh, gotta love it, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think I still have that audiobook
like that
on my Audible, though. Children.
Literally nobody else. I swear nobody else could have played Saruman.
Oh no, definitely not.
What's really ironic though is that he went into Lord of the Rings wanting to play Gandalf. He went into Lord of the Rings wanting to play Gandalf, and he got Saruman instead.
I mean, I guess it's the same deal as, like, you know, back with Thor. Tom Hiddleston wanted to be Thor, but they're like, nah, you're Loki.
Yeah, but it worked out, man. Chris Lee as Gandalf would have been
He got the other white wizard.
It would have been very fascinating to see Chris Lee as Gandalf, but he was, it's almost like he was born to be Saruman. What? Again, everybody, you know, I have a cat, and she complains incessantly that she is not fed every hour of every second of every day. So Zombie recently moved, and now
that I think it would have been terrifying to see Christopher Lee as Gandalf.
That would have been cool, man. Anyway, Zombie recently moved. So, Bride of Frankenstein, Miss Thang's grandmother, is no longer here to constantly lead retreats. And she...
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Joey takes big issue with that. I have not heard the end of it since I moved out. So whenever Christine and I talk, you will hear her.
Offended.
You will hear a very offended cat in the background. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Meow. Oh, you got 2 likes.
Yay. Oh no, Joe.
Meow. Anyway, what were we talking about? Right. Christopher Lee. He just seems like he was born to be
right, because it would have been kind of scary to see him playing Gandalf, because at one point in the 70s, Sir Christopher Lee played Dracula.
He did. He played Dracula.
Yes.
But it just seems like... Oh my god. What I love, though, is how he schooled Peter Jackson on how to stab somebody in the back.
Because he has been stabbed, literally, because he was in World War II.
And he has probably stabbed other people.
Mm-hmm. So if you want...
Peter Jackson was like, you know a freakish amount about this. Anyway, this thing must be fed, everybody. So Zombie will be right back.
Yes.
After she feeds Her Majesty. Okay.
Oh no, you gotta feed the baby. Oh yes, anytime that Zombie and I collab like this, you will more than likely hear Joey in the background. Because Joey is a very mouthy black kitty. So she's literally already a Halloween decoration.
Yeah, along with my snakes and my Black Widow.
Right. So with our powers combined of weird animals, we are Halloween.
You know what, though? We have yet to see the queen of exotic pets in Return of the King.
Right.
I love her so much. She's so cute.
But that's right, Reza. Joey is very chatty. She will talk you to death.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Bride of Frankenstein listened to it for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
She said she didn't know she was Bride of Frankenstein.
Well, yes, because we're trying not to. Well, everybody knows my government name, but we're trying to keep some secrecy on the internet, especially YouTube, because YouTube can be jacked up. It's like I know your government name. I know the government names of Mr. and Mrs. Frankenstein. So
and Emo.
Yep, and Emo too.
Mm-hmm. I hope there's no Emo too.
Emo 2 Electric Boogaloo.
there does not need to be an Emo 2 yet.
Oh wait a minute, doesn't he already exist?
No. I hope not.
Never mind, I'm not gonna go any further. It's gonna derail everything.
Sending you a thing in the private chat.
Okay.
I do not need an Emo 2.
Oh no, I was talking about something else.
That's where my brain went, and I was like, crap.
No, that would be Emo Junior.
Oh God.
You're like, please no, please.
I don't want it. Not yet.
But yes, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings won a lot of awards, though. Like, I remember watching the Oscars.
It deserves
for Return of the King. And I remember watching the Oscars for like when Return of the King came out. Oh my God! It's like almost every single category they were in, boom, they won. It's just like, yes.
It deserves it, man. Some of the best movies of all time. You know, Peter, everybody who participated in the making of those movies caught lightning in a bottle. Like, that's how exquisite those movies were.
Delicious.
Gross. It's like that orange booger you ate the other day.
Oh yes, the ghost pepper Whopper.
Yeah, the orange booger.
You're like, booger, ew. I'm like, no, burger.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to spell burger, everybody. What she sent me was that she has an orange BOORGER. And my brain completely missed the R. And so I read orange booger. And I've been sick. I've been sick as a warg for days now. And so that's where my mind went. And I was just like, bleh.
Oh, that just reminded me after I saw I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, it was after
has
me and a friend had went. Oh,
go ahead.
I was just. It's like, speaking of weird food, I was just reminded that when me and a friend saw, because when the third Hobbit film, Battle of the Five Armies, came out, our local theater had a thing where you could watch all three films in one hit. And so we did that, and afterwards we went to our local Denny's. And it was great because they had like a Hobbit themed menu, and they had a Smaug burger that had like all the peppers on it. And it actually tasted pretty good.
Wow. By the way, everybody,
it was like
zombie grows her own peppers, and they are quite hot.
Yes. And anyone who follows me on Twitter, which is probably most of the folks that are subscribed to me, know that I use a lot of the like her Carolina Reaper powder in my cooking. This is who I sourced it from. This is my pepper dealer.
Yes, I'm the pepper dealer.
Hence the little Trinidad Maruga scorpion in her picture.
Oh, Bride of Frankenstein is a Tolkien purist, but she, and I agree with this, takes this issue with how many elves died at Helm's Deep.
Right, like that was a weird amount to have that many die. It's like, really?
Yeah, they're supposed to be like superhumans.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love the creative choices.
True story. Everybody gather around. True story. Speaking of Helm's Deep, Bride of Frankenstein is rather known in the household among her family and among her friends as for her great flatulence and rather profuse wind she has. And at one point, she really just let it rip in a way that, you could hear throughout the halls of the entire house. And I just went, the horns of Helm Hammerhand shall sound in the deep one last time.
I hope she's not listening right now because she's probably shaking her head.
No, she's probably laughing. She knows how flatulent she is. Apparently, it is a source of pride in her family.
Yes.
She apparently, her father, apparently at one point said that he saw a gravestone that said, "Wherever you may be, let your wind go free, for stifling it was what killed me."
Okay, I like that. Nice.
Anyway, I do agree with her though that there were too many. Though what was the biggest defender of that was Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going in like for the Hobbit trilogy, if you're going in there not knowing anything about the book whatsoever, or anything about Lord of the Rings, you would enjoy that trilogy. Be like, oh, cool, action, adventure, yeah. But if you know anything about like the Lord of the Rings books and the Hobbit book, yeah, you're not going to be exactly happy about it.
I mean, even if you went in as a blank slate, still not a great movie. But as somebody who actually knows about Lord of the Rings lore and everything, how the the elves went against the dwarves, and how the elves just stood there as these big, massive, like mechanical things just attack them, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it was so stupid. Especially given Legolas is a good example. That still counts as mine.
Also, Legolas was never in the Hobbit novel. They just shoved his ass in there.
I understand why they did it, but I hate the way that they did it. Because I mean, even if you've never read the books, but you've seen the movies, you would think, oh, we're in the woodland realm. Legolas is prince of the woodland realm. Where is he? I think it was like him being in there. I'm okay with. It was the way he was put in there that I took issue with. Especially, it just got more ridiculous throughout the whole series. But that's The Hobbit. That's not Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, right. That's another stream. That's more of a griping stream than anything else. Our grievances with The Hobbit.
That one will probably not be as PG.
Oh no, I will age restrict it. I definitely will. I'll age restrict that one.
But Legolas and Lord of the Rings. Do tell your opinion.
I like him, I love Orlando Bloom. Yeah, as Legolas as well. Because back in the day, like Orlando Bloom at that time was like in his mid-20s. He looked very elvish. He was very lanky, slender, typical elf.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like I did like all the casting choices, at least in my opinion.
That's actually a good question. Who do you think was a bad casting choice?
What I'm about to say, I wouldn't call it a bad casting choice, just very confusing. John Rhys Davies is about 6'5". Why would you cast a man that tall to play a dwarf?
Right. It's just, he's 6'5" and he's supposed to play a dwarf.
Like, he was amazing at Gimli. I just don't understand why they cast someone that friggin' tall to play a dwarf who, I believe in the
great as Gimli
books that dwarves were about 5'2"-ish.
It's just like, hi Joe. I'm trying to think of what my opinion for that is. I suppose I don't know if this is like a bad casting choice so much as a complaint. Eowyn, in the books, she acts extremely immature in certain respects, and she comes off as not terribly she doesn't have a lot of gravitas in the movies. And I feel like what is being missed there is the fact that the actress who portrays her is clearly not a teenager. Like, if that was a teenager, I feel like it would be more appropriate for her to have that kind of behavior. But the woman who plays her, it was clearly older than that. And so it just comes off as like this really unusually bratty woman.
Right.
She did a good job, but her behavior was not befitting of her age. In a clearly obvious way.
Like, I know the name of the actress who plays her. I just want to bring up her age so I can kind of guesstimate how old she was at the time. And nope, come on, phone.
She still did a good job, and she nailed that moment in.
Oh yeah,
and I appreciate how she grew more complex. I appreciate how she grew more complex as the movies went on. But that is my lone gripe about the acting choices in that movie. But it wasn't really her fault. Again, the personality profile she was given was that of a teenager. And I'm talking like a 15, 16-year-old girl. And
And
she was very
Miranda
much not
Otto, who played Eowyn. Oh, yeah, she was in her mid-30s.
Yeah.
At the time of filming. So, yeah, not exactly a teenager.
Yeah. That's the big disconnect for me, is that Eowyn in the books was a teenager. And in the movies, she acts like a teenager, but she's very clearly not. And that is very disorienting.
Like, let's say they rebooted the Lord of the Rings films, and I'm not talking about like the Rings of Power. That's a complete or Ring of Power, whatever. That's the Amazon series. That's completely different. But if they were to reboot like the trilogy now, then someone like, let's say, Jennifer Lawrence would be perfect for like Eowyn's role. Someone who could pass off as a teenager.
Yeah. Or a teenager. You know, get yourself a teenager. Excuse me. Though there would be the problem with the fact that Aragorn is
someone who's in their mid
teenager.
or an actual teenager.
But that's really the only gripe I have.
Aragorn, at least in the book.
Huh? What?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Elrond is just grumpy.
Yeah,
The thing that always gets me in Fellowship of the Ring is, you have only one choice. The ring must be destroyed. I was like, okay, Mr. Smith.
exactly.
And the way he says it is just like, you have only one choice. I will say, in The Hobbit, when I saw him, I was like, okay.
Right, coming back with the OG armor. It's just like, hello, sir.
And I'm just like, okay, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
I see you looking fine.
Mm-hmm. In this chat, we fully support the thirst over older actors.
Yes, we do.
We fully support that thirst.
Trust me.
I was about to say most everyone, like I said, most of the folks that follow me on here follow me on Twitter, and they are fully aware of my thirst for older actors.
They are not fully aware of mine, and I shall give nothing away.
All right, so next review. No. I won't do that. I'll.
Zombie needs no man. Other than emo. The emo is going to be 30 this year.
I know, he's turning into an old man.
He constantly jokes about that. I'm like, whatever. He's like, I'm going to be old.
Next time you see him, just tell him I said, "Sup, Grandpa?"
Oh, trust me, I tell him that. Like, next thing you know, you're going to need a walker.
Yeah. Yep.
He's like, yeah, that's going to be me. I'm getting old.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back on topic. Elrond was very grumpy, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was bad acting. That's just what Elrond was in Lord of the Rings. He was grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
All the hope and happiness and positivity have been sucked out of the world by Sauron.
Oh, the inside jokes there.
Guess who's back? Back again. Sauron's back. Tell a friend, which is pretty much the entire premise of the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right.
Which, if any of y'all seen Rings of Power or any snapshots of Rings of Power, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's another thing I've heard mixed reviews on Rings of Power. It's like it's either it's really good or it's not.
Yeah, that does remind me of something though. Not a lot of people of color in these movies.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. And any folks who any people of color that are in the film usually have a ton of makeup on.
They do, or they're the bad guys.
Okay.
Well, that, but also, you know, the people who ride the Oliphants.
They are Maori as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like the only people of color in the movies are like bad guys exclusively. There is not a single person of color in, you know, this quote unquote, you know, men of the West or elves. In Lord of the Rings, there was no black elves. There was no like people of color, elves of color. And so that, I mean, especially given today's demographic and the increased diversity, not necessarily inclusivity, but increased diversity of today, is definitely stands out now. That part of Lord of the Rings does not age well.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part.
It is the unfortunate part. And actually, you want to know, slight tangent. I just need to rant about this. The men, the men in Rings of Power. There, as far as I'm aware, I haven't seen it yet, but there is a black male elf. He has a complete buzz cut. Like, and what makes me irate is just like African people have long hair too. Black people have long hair too. And their hair is really beautiful. And so it's just like, if you shave his head completely, you're sort of perpetuating this idea that black people hair is not passé.
Yeah.
Even when you're talking about elves in the books and in the movies are known for their luxurious locks. And you don't have to be white people to have luxurious locks.
But yeah, that's completely right, because the elves, no matter which type of elf, they always had, like, the hair is part of the culture. And they kind of take that away.
People who have only seen the movies will not know the context of Legolas's bow, but the string of Legolas's bow is actually made of elven hair. That's how important their hair is to just being an elf. And the fact that they completely shorn an elf who was black does not sit well with me, and that's the main reason I refuse to watch Rings of Power, is just because it's just like that. No, nay. You don't get brownie points for token black elf.
Right.
So I did have to rant about that because just
No, you're good. And I think this is actually a good point to wrap it up a little bit, because I have to be up at the crack of dawn.
Heck.
I know, but we could always do a part 2 of this particular stream where we talk more about, like, a Return of the King and other little tidbits.
Okay, that works.
You're like, I'm game. But that will be yet to be determined, because, like I said, next weekend I will be in Baltimore. So the next one of these types of streams which is going to be me just talking about the film Reanimator. That's going to be Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Unless Zombie wants to watch the film ahead of time and join me, but I doubt she will because it's a horror movie.
Yeah, that's Zombie's weakness, ironically.
Weirdly enough, it's like just like most horror movies. No.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't mind gore, but yeah. Anyway, yes. Thank all of you for joining.
Yes. All right. Hope everybody has a good night. Bye-bye.
Likewise, Zombie out.